Welcome to the Dental Business Guide podcast. From money to marketing to management, this podcast will help you run a better dental business.
Welcome back to the Samera podcast. I'm George, and once again I'm here with Arun, our Managing Director of Samera Business Advisors, our walking dictionary of dental business, as I've mentioned before. You name it. So, Arun's, you've got 20 years of experience, over 20 years of experience, I should say, working as an accountant, working as a dental business guru, expert, you name it.
If you say so.
Yeah. Obviously, you've grown your life. You've obviously helped with Samera, your wife, build the Neem Tree Dental Group, and you name it. Like, I'm young. I'm 23. I can say I can speak for most young dentists who want to become their own practice owner. They want to do all this stuff, but they don't know where to start.
Sure.
So let's start simply, financial wise. What can I do to save money to start my own practice?
Okay. All right. Good questions, George. And I think it's so important that you get the foundations right. And you're right. You're 23, and I meet many 23, 20-something dentists, or speak to many in their 20s and 30s who need that financial support, financial acumen. Okay, and it's not taught at dental school, and you have to pick it up along the way, and perhaps learn from family members or friends, or listen to podcasts like this. Okay, so this is my kind of 10-minute summary or points of what I think particularly associate dentists need to consider, when trying to make sure they have a stable financial future for themselves.
Yeah.
Okay, so having our firm deals with hundreds of associate dentists out there, I suppose the first point I want to get across is, and I think maybe people have learned from lockdown, but really want to stress this point also, is never try and keep up with the Joneses. Okay, there are too many dentists trying to compete with each other, and they're all very competitive. And I've got the latest car, or I've got the latest piece of kit, or I've got I'm earning more here and there. In life, okay, the number one rule in my book is never try and keep up with the Joneses. Okay, because it'll just drive you mad, drive you crazy, and you'll never be happy.
Yeah,
okay,
true. Yeah.
You'll never be happy. So that's not pure financial, but it's related to financial. So do what you can and just be content within yourself. Okay. I suppose number two really is related to my age. Okay, when I was in my 20s, there was no such thing as Instagram or Facebook or any social media, and I guess what we've seen. Yeah, we had the internet. That's right. It came about, and it was kind of when I was at university, the internet came about. So now we've got so many social media platforms out there, from Instagram to TikTok to name it. And now my children are kind of use these things as well, and I'm a bit of a dinosaur when it comes to some of them. I do use them myself, but I think what you have to do is if you see anything on Instagram or see anything on Facebook, just always question it. Okay, it would appear that everyone's having this billionaire lifestyle, driving or flying on private jets. They aren't. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No, I've been seeing that actually. There's I think it was somewhere there was a private plane set you can rent, and these influencers in air quotes were renting it out, pretending they're going to Bali and you name it. And well, in actual matter of fact, they're just on the suburbs of a city.
Correct.
That's it. But I've actually been reading up on stories of young influencers and that lot who pretend to live this outlandish lifestyle, and they're actually near enough broke. Yeah, they're broke. They're just trying to pretend that they've got this outlandish lifestyle.
Yeah. So be careful what you see, because again, that impacts you financially. If you see someone's got the latest handbag or car or whatever, just don't believe it. Okay, just be careful. Take it with a pinch of salt. Bottom line. Yeah. Okay. Number three, and I know dentists have a very kind of they earn well. Okay, and then the easiest thing to buy is buying a flash car, and I know many dentists who have done this, made this mistake, bought the fancy Porsche or maybe even a Ferrari or something, okay, just to prove something. Well, I'm sure it's very nice to drive, okay, but it's a depreciating asset, and
very much so, yeah.
It's not going to really set you up for the future, okay?
No.
If you're going to buy a car today, in these days, I'd certainly recommend you buy an electric car. Okay, there's certain tax advantages,
especially if you live in London, like yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's certain tax advantages which can be had, and which can help. So I'm sure you might think about that. So if you need a car, think electric. It's also better for the environment, so they say. That's my view on cars. Okay, I think my fourth point here really is don't try to avoid tax. Okay, tax is going to be here. It's been here for us with us from the beginning. Okay, they say death and taxes are inevitable, and tax most certainly is. And if you're going to try and do any naughty type of planning or schemes, 9 times out of 10 they'll come back and bite you. So plan for the tax, plan for what you have to pay. Okay, rule of thumb: if you're making earnings, always put away around a third of your income into kind of a tax account or tax bank account, where at the end of the year you can pay your taxes from. Right. At least you've got the money then to do it. That's just a rule of thumb for the self-employed people out there. Okay. The other point, really, number 5, I want to get across is pay for proper financial advice or professional advice. Okay. If you're going to get things free, you rarely get the quality that you want. Okay. Happily check out our YouTube, listen to this podcast. You'll get lots of advice and things like that. But I'm not going to give you specific advice just based on
tailored to your interest and that.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone has a different agenda. Everyone has different needs. Someone might have a house issue. Someone might have a tax issue. Whatever, property issues. You need to pay for the right advisors. Okay, don't scrimp on the right advisors, because I certainly wouldn't scrimp on getting the right dentist to look after my teeth. Okay, as they say, cheap is very rarely good. Okay,
you get what you pay for.
Totally, 100%. And as I've got older, my experience of that is more and more valid, and more and more important. You get what you pay for.
Yeah, definitely.
My rule 6 really is cut your coat according to your cloth. I know it's a Chinese proverb, but it's so easy. And looking at the points I raised earlier, if you're earning a certain amount, only spend that certain amount. Don't go out and blow it all and have massive credit card bills to pay, which cost you money, which are expensive, or get payday loans or short-term funding. Who cares what other people think about you? Okay, just cut your coat according to your cloth.
Yeah.
Okay. Make sense, George? Yeah?
More or less, yeah.
Okay, all right.
I'm not very good one for metaphors and that lot, so...
Fair enough.
I'm getting there.
All right, you're 23, I'll let you off. Okay.
Yeah.
Number 7, save. Yes, it's boring, but save every month. I know interest rates are not particularly exciting, but you could put this type of money into not necessarily a normal savings account. You could put it even into an ISA, okay? But an ISA is tax-free. Any capital gains or any income tax-free. And an ISA can be cash, but also it can be a, what's it called? You can put it into shares, okay? And I'll talk about shares another day, okay? But save, put money aside, and maybe set up a direct debit every month that you can't access to that money easily. And therefore that money's going into that savings account. And lo and behold, after 12 months, you've got a nice deposit for a house or a dental practice or anything. But bottom line, start saving, okay?
Yeah. That's one thing I fault on. I try to save as much as possible, but obviously the problem is, as you said, put it somewhere you can't reach easily. For myself, I go with one bank for my savings account, my current account, you name it, everything. And unfortunately, I can go into my online banking and just move money over and that lot. So unfortunately, I'm massively at fault on that. And
one of the tips there, George, is that I know it's dull, and you could even get you can even get a bank account still. Think, well, you don't have online banking, so you can't actually access it. So you just stick it in there, and it goes there every month, and you kind of forget about it. But 5 years down the line, you realise, oh shit, I've been putting 200 quid a month in that bank account. Well, it was a nice amount there, and if you ever needed it on a rainy day, I'm pretty sure a lot of people needed money during this last 12 months because of COVID. And if you've had that rainy day fund, it would have been very, very helpful. Yes. So it's not just for savings, but it's also for a rainy day fund.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, next really thought process is get onto the property ladder, okay, if you can, and you've got enough savings as a deposit, and you can either as the homeowner or as an investor. Over time, over the last 10 years, for instance, the market has risen, okay, and ultimately you would build equity in your properties, and you can then pay off your mortgage whilst with your income that's coming through. So if you can, property's relatively safe investment. And it's helpful for securing debt against it in the event if you buy a practice further down the line. Okay, Banks like to see that you've got property behind you and that you've made a sensible choice of buying a property and rather than paying rent on a month-by-month basis. Okay. Next rule really is about debt. Okay. I mentioned it briefly earlier, but credit card debt is a bad thing. Okay. Because the interest rates may be 20, 30%, horrifically high.
Ludicrous amounts, aren't they?
Yeah, horrific. Okay. So really, you don't want to get yourself into a situation where interest keeps accumulating each month. This is a recipe for financial disaster. Okay. So, because every month then more interest is added and it's just compounded worse and worse, and that debt basically balloons. So pay off your expensive debt. If you've got debt of credit card, make that the first thing you pay off. Everything else can be paid off afterwards. Pay your credit card debt. And then I did mention this earlier in terms of start saving, but I will go into a bit more detail here about the ISA. Okay. Tax-free savings. Okay. You can, as I said, invest it in shares. You can invest it in cash. And really the beauty of this is, let's say you bought a share and you bought it for £1. And if it goes up to £2, i.e. doubled in price, which is great, fantastic return. That gain of £1 per share is tax-free, totally tax-free. Okay. And it's in a tax wrapper. So you want to start thinking, how else can I make money besides my general job as dentistry? And using your ISA allowance every year, which is currently £20,000 a year, you might not use that full allowance, but you might say, I'm going to put £500 a month away and then use that to put some into a cash bank account, but also maybe buy some shares with it. Okay. So tax-free saving is a very attractive thing that the government offers. And I would certainly stress that it's a good way of saving for the future for your financial benefit. Okay. And then I suppose the last kind of point here I want to make today is, assuming you're doing all those things, at some point you may want to start or buy your own dental practice. And I'd strongly suggest, if you want to have your own business, owning a dental practice can be very, very kind of rewarding, not just on a financial basis, but on a personal basis. You're building something, you're growing something, okay? And it's very exciting, run your own business. It's hard work, okay? But I suppose the rule here is, don't get carried away. Emotions are very high when I see people buying a dental practice. They want to get a practice. And as we all know, it's a very competitive market to buy a practice. So people get carried away and they'll say, oh, they'll pay 50 grand more or 100 grand more, whatever, which is a lot of money, which you have to pay back at some point. Yeah. So be shrewd, be smart, get advisors such as our team to help you make the right decision for the right type of practice. Okay. So in essence, if you're a young dentist out there, these are just some of the points I want to get across to you today. For your career, you want your career to go well. And 9 times out of 10, the problems that I see people making in their careers aren't necessarily clinical mistakes. It's usually financial mistakes. So hopefully today this gets a few points across to you and gives you some food for thought. So these are my kind of tips for young dentists out there who are thinking about their money and their career. 9 times out of 10, the problems that dentists have never relate to clinical. It quite often relates to the financial side of things. Bad financial management leads to bad financial decisions, which leads to bad business decisions and life decisions. So get your house in order, get your finances in order, and remember, don't try and keep up with the Joneses, and be smart about it all. And if you need any help on any of these things, just give us a shout or drop us an email.
Yeah, I'm sure I can vouch for all 20-year-olds who want to be their own practice owners and say that's bloody useful information, really.
Cool.
Because a lot of us are, we're young. We don't know what we're on about. We haven't got the life experience like you have and all that lot. So thank you so much for taking the time for talking with us, and we'll catch you on the next one.
No worries. I'm trying to impart all my grey hairs to everybody. Okay? All right? No worries. See you later. Thanks, George. Cheers.
Thanks for listening in to the Dental Business Guide podcast. We welcome your feedback, and if you're enjoying it, please let your friends know too. Until the next time on the Dental Business Guide podcast.